The Oilers have life after a Game 4 win, but is it enough? And what do we think of Connor McDavid breaking one of Wayne Gretzky's toughest playoff records? Hey everyone, welcome into Off the Post. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Toronto Sun sports columnist Steve Simmons, Canucks reporter for the Vancouver Sun and the Province, Patrick Johnston, and Postmedia hockey columnist Bruce Garriock. And guys, you can't win 4 games if you don't win at least one, and the Edmonton Oilers staved off elimination with a convincing win in game number 4, forcing a Game 5 on Tuesday night in Florida. The Oilers talked a lot about feeling confident heading into Game 4 and proved it. Steve, did you see anything in that game that should give the Oilers and their fans hope that they could actually pull off an incredible comeback?
Are you saying they have hope?
Isn't that I'm telling you there's a chance. Yeah.
Is there a chance? You know, the Boston Celtics won 3 games in a row in the NBA Finals really easily and then got crushed in Game 4 by Dallas. And what happened in the NHL? The exact same thing, although the 3 games that Florida won weren't nearly as convincing as the Celtic wins. But in Game 4, the team about to win the Cup or win the championship got crushed. And so do they have a chance? Yeah. Is it likely? No. But, you know, let's play it out. Let's see what it is. Let's see if this team, with all its greatness, can come back the way many expected them to when the series began. But I don't like their chances of coming back and winning 3 straight, let alone winning 1 straight. But that said, you can't doubt a team that's top-heavy the way the Edmonton Oilers are top-heavy.
Well, you know, I mean, it was a convincing win, but I don't think any of us are convinced that the Edmonton Oilers are back in this series by any stretch of the imagination. You know, my wife and I were watching the game, and she said, do you think the Panthers just want to win this at home, and maybe that's why they let this one go? And you know what? I mean, it's a good question, right? Like, you know, sure, I think you want to win the Stanley Cup in any way, shape, or form, but man, Patrick, they really let the Oilers off the mat in a big way. And all of a sudden, the mystique of Sergei Bobrovsky started to slip a little bit. They scored 8 goals, you know, and Florida didn't have a whole lot going on. And all these players who needed some confidence got a little bit of confidence. Patrick, it's not still anybody's game, but at least the Oilers are alive and kicking this morning.
Well, there were 2 things that stood out to me. First of all, I mean, the Panthers are going to win 7 games in a row. Like, they were going to lose. Like, you're not going to finish the Stanley Cup playoffs by winning the final 8 games. That just doesn't happen anymore. So the fact that the Oilers were able to counterpunch did not surprise me. Now, the way they did was maybe a little bit reminiscent of the way they played, certainly in the first half of Game 1, being able to open things up on the rush, take advantage of some bad defending, some bad decisions. But in the end, the Panthers have gotten themselves to this point by playing strong, powerful defense, and the odds that they will get back to that strong, powerful defense in Game 5, to me, just seems so much more likely than, as Steve said, the Oilers carrying on and on, somehow pushing this to 6 and then maybe 7.
You know, you don't often look at an 8-1 game and say there was a really big save made by the winning goalie. But I believe there was a really big save made by the winning goalie at 2-1. The Oilers are leading 2-1. The Panthers are starting to get back to playing their game. And Stuart Skinner makes maybe his best save of the playoffs. A really good come across the crease, get out your glove, get out your pad. Just a great save, a highlight save. If they score then, it's 2-2 now. That 2-0 lead at home is gone. It's 2-2 now. It changes the game. It puts Florida in a position of feeling good about themselves. And now it was like the Oilers took the save by Skinner as like their message from God. If our goalie's doing this, we got a shot. And he did it. Whether he can do it again, who knows? But that happened the other night, and you don't think about, again, a save at 2-1, you know, in an 8-1 game to be mattering. But in my mind, that mattered a lot.
Yeah, it was a massive swing in that game for the Oilers, and they rode that momentum to the victory. Meanwhile, Connor McDavid etched his name in the playoff record book, setting a new NHL mark with 32 assists in a single postseason, passing a former Edmonton Oiler, Wayne Gretzky, of course. And considering one has to go right for someone to register a single assist in the first place, Bruce, how impressive is it that a Gretzky record has fallen?
Well, I think it's really impressive. I just think a lot of people wish it was under better circumstances, right? And I know, Steve, you talked about all the statistics in a great column today. I think that if the Oilers were in a better place in this series, then that record would be more celebrated, Rob. But I think right now you kind of look at it and say, okay, a personal achievement is great, but it would mean a lot more if the Oilers were on the verge of winning a Stanley Cup rather than letting the possibility of getting a ring this spring slip away.
Understand the context of what's just happened here. Connor McDavid has broken a record that was Wayne Gretzky's at a time when no one came close to anything that Wayne Gretzky did and or scored. And so in 1988, when he had his assist record, the Edmonton Oilers scored 5.26 goals a game. That's every game. Connor McDavid this year, this Edmonton Oilers team, they scored 3.58 goals a game. We're talking a goal and a half a game difference. I think we take Connor McDavid for granted. I think this is an absolutely breathtaking, spectacular, can't believe it ever happened record. I don't care if they win the cup, don't win the cup, whatever. We never Wayne Gretzky, when he finished his career, had more points in assists than anyone had points in the history of the game. So what you're talking about is a whole different level of player. 4 of the top 5 scoring playoff records of all time belong to one guy. And it happened at a time when scoring was frankly a lot easier. And so I think what McDavid has done is unfrickin' believable.
It is so remarkable that if we look at the top 20 per season points per playoff campaign points totals, McDavid is now 6th, has as opposed to the 6th highest scoring points totals in one playoff year. And in terms of the modern game, there is one other guy in the top 20, or 2 other guys in the top 20, and that's Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point, who did it in 1920 in the bubble, and that's funky counting, right? Like what McDavid has done here is so outside what we have come to understand how hockey works in the last 30 years. It is just absolutely stunning. He is on his own island. He is comparable with the greats. We know this, and he's just going to keep going. And to go back to the initial point off the top from Steve, you have these 2 guys, him and Draisaitl, are so outside the norm in terms of top players that this is a guy that is trying his very best to will his team to a Stanley Cup.
Yep. Definitely hear you guys. I'm with Bruce, though. I agree that if the Oilers were in a better spot, I think people would probably appreciate this record just a little bit more, but still some time to get themselves back in the series the Oilers have. And maybe we're having a conversation, even if the Oilers lose, does Connor McDavid have a chance of the Conn Smythe? But maybe we'll leave that for a later date here on Off the Post. But as always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Steve Simmons, Patrick Johnston, and Bruce Garriock, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.